Welcome back to JetKoa Sports. Going to talk today about CJ Stroud and his contract extension and getting his fifth-year option picked up. We're also going to go to the NBA and talk about the number 5 and number 6 seeds in both conferences to continue our review before the playoffs begin. And then finally, we're going to finish off with baseball, the power rankings, and what is going on with the Red Sox. I want to start today's show, first of all, though, by congratulating Michigan. It kind of went as I expected, and as I laid out in my previous video, what I expected to happen. Michigan, just better than everybody. Bigger, stronger, faster, and wanted to win. You could see it in the way they played. They win after every possession like it was the last. Congrats to Michigan. And they already got a new recruit today in the transfer portal, so let's see what they can do next year. That was a hell of a good basketball team. Moving on to the NFL. CJ Stroud and his teammate Will Anderson had their fifth-year options picked up. Pretty normal thing that teams do, and basically that signals that we want to keep this guy long-term. We're going to start working on a contract. But this is the first step. You have to renew that fifth year, and then you work on an extension. Will Anderson Jr., there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a top-paid defensive end, edge rusher. He's going to get paid. He's earned it. He's an all-pro now. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, I think he still has to prove himself, and I will lay out my case here. Rookie season was fantastic, phenomenal for a rookie quarterback coming into the NFL. It was tremendous to watch. 2023, across 15 games, he had almost 64% completion, 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 100.8 rating, and a 58.3 QBR. 2024, he played 2 more games, but all the numbers were down across the board. 2025, his numbers creep back up. His completion percentage was the best he had. He did miss 3.5 games with a concussion. I'll get to that in a little bit. 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in 2025. 92.9 rating, and the highest QBR so far of his career at 61.7. So the second year, definitely Stroud, he had a small regression. Right, he did amazing in 2023. 2024 took a little bit of a step back. 2025, it seems like he kind of had found himself until that concussion. And concussions are brutal. They're no fun, and they're hard to return from. I've had a few concussions. They are not easy to rebound from. And then the playoffs this year, just Stroud did not look good. I multiple times turned to my friends and asked, while watching the playoffs, like, did Stroud get hit when I wasn't watching? Like, have they tested him for a concussion? He's playing like he has a concussion. He's making very weird decisions with the football that he's never done. He's freaking out like an over-sensory load, which is concussion symptoms, right? Like, and that's what it seemed like. Like, the moments were all way too big for him. He didn't know what to do, so he was just freaking out. And I said it in both games. I was just like, what is going on? And concussions can compound like that. I really hope that that's not the case, but that's what I felt watching that game. Both those playoff games. Like, this guy's making very interesting decisions, and it's scary to me. So it's kind of brutal to end on that note, but I do think he's got to come back and prove himself. He's definitely not worth the $60 million top-tier quarterback money right now. And his rookie season and parts of last season look like he was progressing towards that number. But I don't see how you could give him that in the playoffs. I don't see how you could pay him more than Sam Darnold's getting in Seattle after that playoff performance. $30 million a year, $35 million a year. So why not? I'm sure Stroud wants to bet on himself too. So Why not? Let's give him another year, see how it plays out in 2026, and then we will come back on the contract talks. Um, it's quite interesting. Just kind of transitioning here, watching Bryce Young kind of doing the opposite, right? He had a pretty brutal rookie campaign, which was not, I'm not even going to put most of it on him. That was a bad situation in Carolina. Um, Second year, he got his starting gig back. Season 3, he was making strides. Team got to the playoffs, and he played decent in that playoff game. Bryce Young's numbers in 2025 across 16 games: 63.6 completion, 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 87.8 rating, 47.6 QBR. So the rating and QBR are a little bit worse than Stroud's 2025 numbers. Completion percentage a tad worse, but pretty much everything else is the same. Very equal. So it's going to be interesting to see what both of these guys' extensions look like. If Bryce gets one, I think he will. I think he'll keep getting better next year. But they're both in kind of the same situation of like, you need to prove it. This is your chance to prove it that you're a top tier starting quarterback in this league, elite even. And I hope they both go and do it. Let's also keep that in mind this year with Fernando Mendoza and the rest of the quarterbacks, right? We thought after year one that CJ Stroud was the clear, obvious, should have been number 1 pick. He's a superstar. Bryce Young, who knows? And after year 3, they're kind of in the same spot. They're in a very similar situation, or like situation according to their play. The teams are very different. That's all very different. But similar situations. Jaden and Caleb, right? Jaden looked lights out in year 1. Had some injuries this year. Caleb came on this year. That's going to be interesting to see which one of those guys is better. So Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, like, let's give it some years. Let's not be jumping on these kids and before they even get drafted and in year 1, year 2. Let's give them some time. Moving to the NBA. Like I said, we're going to cover the number 5 and number 6 seeds as they stand today. Orlando could very well mess this up, but that's okay. I'll deal with that if it comes. Orlando could win. They have an easier schedule than the Hawks, so they could they could jump into 6th place. Anyways, we're starting in the East at number 5. Atlanta Hawks. They're young, very new team, right? They traded 9 guys over the last 9 months. Trae Young, who was the face of the franchise, traded to Washington for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Very interesting, no draft picks involved trade. Like, that's very rare, especially a superstar. Anyways, CJ McCollum came in with the right attitude, accepted a bench role. This all allowed getting rid of Trae Young. CJ kind of having his bench role defined, allowed Jalen Johnson to progress into an all-star forward. Alexander Walker, who was known for defense, stepped up his offensive game. He's actually shooting almost 50% from 3 over the last 14, 15 games, and averaging 20 points a game, up from like 9 or 10 last year. Very awesome. Atlanta has had 24 different starting lineups with all these changes, and roles have been shifting every week. They've been learning on the fly, but it's also given them a lot of experience doing multiple things, right? So it seems like they should be able to play any style of basketball. Also, trading Trae Young, like, he was on the ball so much, controlled the ball movement, controlled the game, the flow of the offense, that it didn't really allow the rest of Atlanta's team to shine. And now without Trae, they are moving the ball, getting athletic people moving on the run, and their wings they're long and athletic. Like, it's given them a chance to show what they can do, and they are creating offense. Like, it's working. And Atlanta's been just cruising post All-Star break. So, again, like, they're young. I don't see them advancing extremely far in the playoffs, but they are going to be a problem in the first round. They're going to bring a lot of energy, and whoever they match up against is not going to like that. Moving to Toronto Raptors, the number 6 seed as of today. They took advantage of their early season schedule. They had a very weak schedule, kind of won a bunch of games at the beginning of the year. More than half of their wins are against non-playoff teams. And then some of their wins against playoff teams that will be in the playoffs this season, came when those teams were not at full strength, were going through extreme struggles. Like, their wins don't look very good across the entire season. They have a decent starting 5, but the bench hasn't really solidified itself as a game changer. Scotty Barnes can be the best guy on the floor. Brandon Ingram is a great player. He's tall, lanky guy that gets you 20 points, right? Emmanuel Quickley is a good talent. Their bench, like I said, has not really solidified itself, but they do have 2 pretty good rookies in Jacoby Walter, who can hit threes all day. And he's learning how to find open space, and he's doing it pretty well. Like, moving off the ball, getting to his shot, and he's doing well. They got Colin Murray Boyles as well. He's a shorter, big man off the bench, but defensive game changer. The guy knows what he's doing on the defensive end of the court. His offense is a work in progress. He's a rookie, again, known for defense, so that's to be expected. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they have all of the necessary pieces, and their roster has been banged up, and it is really banged up right now. So hopefully they can lock up the 6 seed and use next week to get healthy during the last game of the season and the play-in. Now, it's looking back on their season, you could say, they're in the 6th seed, and they've had a lot of injuries all year. So they have, for the injury circumstances, like, they have overachieved a little bit. But they've also proven throughout the season that they cannot hang with the playoff teams. So we'll see what happens. Moving to the West, the number 5 seed is the Houston Rockets. They are currently on their longest winning streak of the season at 7 in a row. Their 3-point shooting is almost at 40%, like 39.5% right now during the streak, which has been helpful. And apparently a team meeting is what kind of catapulted them into this streak, which I've heard many people say that, like, those team meetings they're usually when you're in a bad spot and they don't really do anything good for you. But it seemed to work for the Rockets. They do have a great team defense. I'll touch a little bit more on this later, or on their defense later. They got 6 guys that are in double figures, so they can score from a few spots. I'll also touch on their offense more in a little bit. They're young guys. They have so much young talent, but they aren't fully confident yet. I think last year, when they were a year younger, they were kind of gelling. They were getting that chemistry. And it seems like this year it just did not continue through. The team defense is good, but their individual defense is not great. Sengun and Shepard on the court together is a defensive liability. So you can't play them both at the same time, or you're going to get scored on. And then their offense, right? Their young guys can score. They've got multiple guys that can create offense, and then they got Kevin Durant. But they don't really move the ball. Like, the team offense is not that great. So in clutch situations in the fourth quarter, the teams know they want to go to Durant, so they can really write their game plan to stop Kevin Durant. And once he's out of the picture, the ball stops moving. It gets very stagnant for the Rockets, and they have to try to beat people one-on-one. And it's just not a recipe for success in the playoffs. just clutch time, they can lock down your best player because you got nowhere else to go. Like that's a bad spot to be in offensively. So yeah, again, like their chemistry last year, it seemed fantastic. Like it was growing. They have something amazing going in Houston. They still do, but it seems this year with the addition of Durant and the change in kind of their focus, that their chemistry, everything in that department is taking a step back. We'll see what they do in the playoffs. The Rockets can win games, so I'm interested to see what happens. Moving to number 6, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves. It has not been the year they wanted. Um, they were saying last year at the end of the year, at the beginning of this year season, they know what it takes to win now, and I guess they just decided to not show that all year. It's been interesting with the Timberwolves. Um, they've been slumping currently. Well, since the All Star break, really. Edwards was hobbled with a knee injury for a while, and then he sat out for a while, and they've been slumping without him. He is one of the top 5 players in basketball, so it makes sense when that guy's not playing or is at 50, 60% that you're going to be hurt by it. Nas Reed, who I love. I love watching that dude play. That shot is so weird. Um, he's been affected by injuries. He's, 6 man of the year type dude. That's a huge loss. Um, and at the same time, with these injuries, like they still have a starting 5 that's played more together than any other team. And this slump that they've been on, they on March 5th, they were the number 3 seed in the West. A little over a month ago, and now they sit at number 6. They went 6-9 in that time, while the top dogs in the conference won like 65% of their games. It is not looking good going into the playoffs. It's like, what's wrong with the Timberwolves? Um, they had an easier schedule than most, and they did something that teams that I've played with have done before. I've never been a professional. I'm nowhere near that. But the Timberwolves seem to play up to the top teams level, play right there with them. And then against poor teams, their level of play drops to match that poor team, right? That's a terrible spot to be in as a team. I've been there. Trust me, like it is not a good spot because when you're in those games with the good teams, the top teams, and you're right there with them, you don't quite close it out because you've also been playing half your season playing down to people. So you just don't have this closing mentality, not the right one at least. And their offense during this slump has just been awful in pretty much any metric you want to look at. It's been bad. They're not shooting threes well. They're not rebounding well. Blowing leads in the fourth. Just not delivering quality team performances. They can't close, like I said. But what Minnesota does have going for them is they seem to rack it up a notch in the playoffs. Chris Finch teams, the coach Chris Finch, teams that he leads have much better post All-Star break records and turn it on in the playoffs. So this is Minnesota's time to shine, right? If they know what it takes to win and they've just been kind of coasting to get to the playoffs, then let's see it. And Ant-Man is dangerous. Julius Randle can hoop. Nas, again, 6 man of the year type of dude. Like, they got some talent. And Rudy Gobert in the middle they'll probably match up against Denver in the first round. Like, that's going to give the Joker some challenges. Were the Wolves just hibernating? Or is it time to shake some things up in Minnesota before the start of next season? I can't wait to watch the playoffs. One of my favorite times of year. Moving on to the MLB. New power rankings we got this week have the Dodgers in first, Yankees second, Brewers third, Phillies fourth, Mets fifth. I have all these teams making the playoffs when I did my divisional and wild card predictions a few weeks ago. And as it's still very early in the season, I might not have the Phillies at number 4. They have not been playing well to start the season. They have the talent. They will rebound. They will be back. But power rankings should be based on what is going on the field right now. And I don't think the Phillies are the 4th best team in baseball on the field right now. But that's not what I want to talk about in baseball today. I want to talk about the Boston Red Sox and what is wrong with them. When I did my divisional predictions, I didn't have Boston make the playoffs. I had them competing for a wild card and barely missing. Um, they're in a tough division. I didn't think they had enough power to compete day in and day out with the mashers that the AL East has. They have a lot of young guys, and with that comes growing pains over the course of 162 games. It's 162 games in 183 days or something. Like, young players need to get used to that. It is not an easy thing to do. So I assumed there would be growing pains. They're currently 4-8. They do have plenty of time to bounce back. What is that? 4-8 to 12 games. So they got 150 games left. So they got plenty of time. But I did think they would be in the race for the wild card and barely miss the playoffs. They are extremely talented, so I do expect some regression to the mean. But the pitching that I thought was going to be a strength has suffered badly. Their ace Garrett, Sonny Gray, the top prospect Connolly Early, they've all had mixed results to start the year. One decent start, one awful start. Brian Bello, who was the most consistent starter they had last year, had just a brutal outing to start the season. And he's going to try to recover against the Brewers, who are playing great baseball. So best of luck to Mr. Bello. And then Ranger Suarez, their big pitching free agent acquisition, has been just crushed. In 2 starts, he's pitched 8 1/3, 13 hits given up, and an 8.64 ERA. You need more. You need more out of Ranger. You paid him a lot of money. The starters in total have a 5.19 ERA, a 1.43 WHIP, a 274 average against, and a 434 slug against. Like, those are brutal numbers for your starting pitchers. And this has stressed the bullpen early in the season, which is not a good time to be getting your bullpen tired, like right at the beginning of the season. You didn't need to count on these guys for 162 games. But the opening 2 weeks for the Red Sox has seen a lot of relievers getting into games. They do have the late inning guys, right? They got the setup guys. They got Aroldis Chapman. They can, if they give their bullpen a lead in the 7th, they're going to win a lot of games. But the middle relievers are getting called on way too often right now, and they haven't answered the call at all. The bullpen ERA is 4.11 with a 4.57 slug allowed. So their slug is worse than the starters. And the starters are already putting them in a bad spot, and the bullpen is just making it worse. It's not a good start for the Red Sox and what was supposed to be their strength. Roman Anthony had such high expectations. It's hard to live up to those sometimes, especially when you're as young as he is. And he is a stud. He will improve his offense. But his defense is an issue right now. He is getting tested by everybody. They do not fear his arm at all. And when his bat isn't working, he's kind of a liability out there. Like, he's not doing a whole lot to help you win ball games. His bat will rebound in a big way, and they'll figure out the defense, I'm sure. But again, that's that youth growing pains that I was talking about. And when you're counting on a guy like Roman Anthony in his second full season, it's not going to happen right away. Their other huge free agent signing was Wilson Contreras, former catcher, now first base DH type. He's having an okay start to the year, but with the complete lack of power on the Red Sox in the Red Sox lineup, struggling Roman Anthony, struggling Caleb Durbin, like, Wilson Contreras really needs to be carrying them right now, and he's not hitting the ball like that. It's hard when it seems like nothing's going right around you, but they really need more out of that guy. Ultimately, I think they will rebound. They have plenty of young talent. Um, and they'll keep getting better. They'll make some trades at the deadline, but I don't see them making huge additions at the deadline because I, again, don't have the Red Sox in the playoffs. And I think the Red Sox have a good grasp on what their team is. Thanks for joining me, JetKoa Sports. Once again, I record these at 8:30 at night and after a full day of work. So apologies if I look and sound a little tired tonight. Remember to subscribe if you like the content. You can check out a old video I'll have linked here as well. And thank you all. Have a great evening.